it's Lauren here. A warning, this episode contains deep chats, lots of swear words, and some things you might find upsetting, but you know that we cannot help but overshare.
Are you ready for some oversharing?
Because oops, we did it again. Hello and welcome back to Oops, We Overshared Again. I am Lauren.
And I'm Gemma.
Fabulous. Welcome back. We are talking all about how fucking lonely it can be sometimes being an adult. Can I just say, we keep discussing amongst ourselves, like being lonely or not having friends in our 30s. I hate that I now am in that bracket. It just occurred to me.
Yeah, welcome to the club, babes.
Yeah. So yeah, we're talking today about that, about how it can be really difficult to not only find new friends in your 30s, but keep friends. Like sometimes your relationships with your existing friends change. Like it's just quite difficult. Everybody drifts, people get married, have children. Some people don't do any of those things or do some of those things. And you all just end up at very different points in life. Then obviously it was a lot more simple when you were teenagers and you all just went to school and did the same thing every single day and that was it. So yeah, we're going to talk about that a bit today because it's something that I personally struggle with sometimes, the idea of feeling very lonely and also feeling a bit pathetic. It'll be interesting to see how you feel about some of this subject, but yeah, so talk to me, Gemma. Do you have any friends?
Yes.
You can't say me because that's cheating.
What?
And also not true. We're co-hosts, nothing else. Co-workers next week. That is literally as far as it goes.
Definitely not.
Go on, talk about your friends. Friend.
Well, I'm one down now. Okay, so my friends, I've got, for example, I've got like a group of best friends.
Mm-hmm.
They all know each other, but through me.
Okay.
So we weren't like a group. It's like an eclectic mix of best friends that I've collected over the years.
Okay.
However, as I've got older, I've definitely found it harder to make friends. And like one of my best friends, she lives in Manchester now, but I met her at work when I was like 18, 19, something like that. And when I think how ballsy I was back then compared to now, I'm like, wow. But I was very like, she put a message out on our company email around the office saying that she had a spare Biffy Clyro ticket. And one of my other friends, there was this guy, she won't mind me sharing this story. There was this guy at work who fancied me. Mm-hmm. And I had no interest in him, but it's always nice to have someone that fancies you.
Of course.
Anyway, he basically stopped showing any interest in me because this new girl had started and they were dating. And the new girl put this email out saying she had this spare Biffy Clyro ticket. So I was like, fuck it. So I was like, yeah, go on then. Went with this random girl I'd never met to London to a Biffy Clyro gig and I stayed at her flat that night. And then we become best friends.
Love that for you.
Literally, I used to then just go and like stay at her flat every weekend because she lived in Chelmsford and I lived out in Burnham at my parents. But we became very, 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 very close. And that is probably my last of my like best friends that I've had for a long time. That's probably the last time I was comfortable making friends in that sense, without that kind of for want of a better word, social anxiety that I tend to experience as I'm older. And when I think back of my other kind of best friends I've got, like one I met when I was like 16. I've got one from primary school, two from primary school, two different primary schools. Like, so I've kind of collected friends over the years in different scenarios, but I'd say from sort of those like late teens, I then found it very difficult to make friends
Can I say 3 things? Which I'll forget by the time I get to the third one. But first of all, the most important fact, Matt Cardle covered a Biffy Clyro song. Second thing to say is that you can't make your point of that was the last of my very old friends. Yes, because anybody since then can't be a very old friend. Third point, because they're newer. Third point, do you feel the need to make new friends because you have a core group of best friends?
Okay, so but this is the thing. So
they were all very random and unconnected.
My friend in Manchester, she lives in Manchester, she's got her own life. I last saw her in September when I went to her wedding. We'll send, and don't get me wrong, like if I ring her now, if I pick the phone up and rung her, we would spend like hours on the phone chatting, catching up. Like it's great. And when I see her, I feel like no time has passed. But I might go months without talking to her. One of my other best friends, who I've been best friends with since I was like 15, 16. Again, she lives about an hour away from me. She's just had a baby actually. And again, we don't live in each other's pockets. So I did go and see her a couple of weeks ago to meet her baby, but we don't see each other regularly. One of my friends from primary school, I was seeing on a weekly basis because she's got a little boy similar age to Elliot. Obviously that's now stopped, and her little boy is starting school now. And so I'd say that over the years, and like that friend that we've got babies at the same age, but when she had her son, again, I hardly saw her because obviously I was at work during the week when she was off with her kid. So I think through different life phases, you're naturally closer to people than you are to others.
Yeah. And
since having Elliot, I've made a small handful of friends through having a baby. So people that have had kids the same time as me. One who I get on really well with, and her little girl was actually born 2 days after Elliot. And I'd consider her a good friend, but it's like, for example, to compare the two circumstances, with my friend who now lives in Manchester, like I was just like, yeah, let's go out, let's get on it. Like I had no, to coin a term I just use in a negative sense, I had no filter, and I had no awkward like, oh my god, what is she going to think of this, whereas with the friend whose little girl was born 2 days after Elliot, there was always, especially when I first sort of like, when she first said to me, do I want to go and get a coffee, I was like filled with this anxiety and this panic of, oh my god, like what if I say the wrong thing, and I come away from that social situation thinking, oh my god, like did I say that, and how was that taken, and which I never experienced when I was younger.
I get that. And it also makes sense that you revert back to being a teenager when you're with that particular friend as well, a bit more like, oh, should we go out and should we do this? And it's a bit more like that's your relationship, because your relationship was formed at 19. Do you know what I mean? It's that kind of relationship.
Absolutely. Well. Whereas I'm not 19 anymore.
No, really not. Did you feel like that when me and you met for a coffee?
Did I feel awkward?
We didn't talk every day then, did we?
No, but do you know what? And I will say this, which is where I think we share a very special connection. Don't mug me off now and say we're not friends, because I'll cry. Is that when I come down to see you and we had that day, beautiful day together, I cannot remember the last time I've laughed that hard and that much.
We did have a really good day.
We did. So do not mug me off and say we're not friends, because I will cry. And no, we probably didn't talk every day when we first met up.
To be honest, Gem, this isn't mugging you off, and this is as sappy as I'll ever get. You're probably one of my best friends that I talk to every single day. So did it not feel like we were on a first date? Did you not feel like we were on a first date when we first went out though?
Absolutely.
And then we both got parking tickets.
Worth every penny.
It fucking wasn't. It was like 70 quid.
This is true. But yeah, no, so I feel that to answer your original question, I do feel like
that we've all gone a bit flustered.
Oh.
I cry.
Yes, I will be your bridesmaid, Lauren. That's fine. So no, but to answer your original question, I think the thing is, as we get older, I feel like friends that we've been friends with for a long time, when we have those different life experiences, like what you said there, and it's like the friends I've got from primary school now have children similar age to me, like to my child. So it's like we've got this whole new layer of things in common.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it's like maybe I didn't see them hardly at all until I had Elliot. But then once I also had a kid, it's like one part of this gang now.
Yeah.
So then our friendship kind of gets rekindled, but not in a let's go out and get smashed because we're teenagers kind of way, but on this whole new mum level. And that's why I think my relationship with those friends has grown in a different way than perhaps my friends that don't have children.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Because then, like, when I go and see my friend in Manchester, when I went out for her wedding, like, Elliot wasn't really involved in any of that. Him and Ben didn't come to the wedding. I went on my own, but I was very outgoing, pisshead.
Because you turned in, you were not like you weren't married then. You're not. You weren't married with child then. Do you know what I mean? You were just Gem. You'd gone back to being just Gemma.
100%. 100%.
That makes sense. I struggle a lot because I feel like I'm in that, and it's maybe partly as well because in that, like, however many years are between us, like 3 years or whatever, you're probably just over that hurdle as well a little bit in terms of everybody being in a very similar position around you, or most people being in a very similar position. Whereas I feel like I'm in it's kind of a 50-50 split in terms of like where our life is at the moment. It's very like, I have friends that I've got a friend that's going through a divorce with 2 children, well, 1 child and very heavily pregnant. I've got another friend that's got 3 kids. Let's put that then. 3 kids. I've got like all these, like those people. And then I've got my friend that I was texting just before I came on here just now, who has got no children, is single, and is currently having a meltdown because her mortgage is going to be for 5 years and she doesn't know if she can stay in one place that long. Like it's very much like a broad, and I sit somewhere in the middle of that, being that I live with my partner and we'd like to have kids and all that stuff. And it's like a really weird mix where, depending on who I'm with, we have a very different conversation to an extent. But then I say that, actually, my friend Jess, that's got 1 and another one on the way, when we talk, we're very boring, to be honest. We very rarely, we catch up for, I want to say 10 minutes. And then we spend the rest of the time going over things that we did when we were teenagers. And
that's nice.
Reminisce the whole time. And her boyfriend is just like, go, I've heard the story, like, shut up. But it's just that, like, constant, he's absolutely lovely.
Yeah.
And he was actually there, my hair just went funny. He was actually there for a lot of them as well, because he was a friend of ours when we were younger. And every now and again, she's like, can you believe I ended up with him? And I'm like, no. And he's like, I'm here. But
in a way, hang on though, is that in a like he was really hot, or in a
God? It's in a way of, I literally a status, not that he wasn't like bad, it wasn't bad looking, but we just never he was just one of us. And actually there was a status that came up on my phone not long ago on my time hop from like 10 years ago, and it said out with the girls, and it was all the girls and then his name at the end.
Love that.
Like, he was just one of us, so it would never even have occurred to us that
he just really grafted his way out of the friend zone.
He really did. So yeah, there's that. But then also I find myself, because a lot of my friends have got kids or are married and are in situations where obviously they don't have a lot of time, I find myself feeling quite like segregated quite a lot, and not intentionally. Like, I, like, you know me, I'd be more than happy to hang out with anyone with any, like, it doesn't bother me. Like, I'm not that friend that's like, if the kid's not coming, do you know what I mean? It's like that doesn't bother me. But it's obviously people have less time, and I find that very hard. And especially now that I work at home, I spend there's a fly in my face, I feel like I just went cross-eyed. I spend a lot of time by myself, because even though I live with Steve, obviously he works. There's also a lot of the time he does nights, so I then spend the evening on my own, and the daytime he's asleep. And I find that really lonely, and I did when I was living on my own as well beforehand. I feel it less so now because of Steve, whereas before I just felt like I was completely by myself. But I do struggle with that being on my own thing. And I don't think, this sounds awful because it just does, I don't think any of my friends now that have been my friends for a number of years are really, we all, a bit like you, pick up where we left off maybe, but it doesn't ever feel as, even most of them live close by, and I still don't feel like I can be like, can interrupt their lives and be like, hey, you free? And that's where I find it hard. So the reason we've like decided to do this episode this week is because I've been personally making like a really conscious effort to stop moaning about it and do something about it, because it is really hard. And I don't get social anxiety at all, but the idea of this still like freaks me out, don't get me wrong. But I have been making a conscious effort. So I guess like hobby segment kind of just rolls into this episode, like we're doing it, but it's kind of like part of it, because my hobby has been to find new friends, or like find people, I guess, in common with myself that I can either work with during the day if they do a similar thing, or even just somebody to go for a drink with or go for dinner with, or whatever it is. So I've done two things this month. I have both joined a membership, which is more like a worky thing, but even though there are worky bits on it, I've not joined it for that. It's more been, they're people in similar situations that work from home. So
they live local.
Everywhere. There's like thousands of people on there. So you can like search and you can talk to each other, and they do meetups and stuff as well. There's one in Essex actually, so not far. So there's that. But I've also, and I have done it before as well, joined Bumble, which is a dating site traditionally, and where I met Steve actually. But there's three sections actually. There's a business section as well, which hadn't even occurred to me until I was literally just saying it out loud just now. But I think it's more for like networking business.
Okay.
And then there's also, it's called Bumble BFF, I think it's called, but it's like basically like dating friends, basically. And I've been like, it like grosses me out a bit, but then equally it's a bit like, but why? Because I did it when I was dating and nobody looked down on that. But
why would anyone look down on it? And also, just to put it into perspective, when I was younger and single, I actually signed up for something similar. And you just reminded when you said it, because the other day I got sent a thing called My Drinking Partners or something like that. I managed to finally deactivate it. Ben was like, is that a dating thing on your phone?
Well, can you imagine? I get Bumble notifications. The Steve sat next to me.
Oh, well then there you go. You
It's literally the same. It's the exact same like icon.
Oh, brilliant. Do you say to him, yeah, Steve, because you've not put a ring on it, so technically I'm single?
Yeah, I'm still dating. But yeah, when you sign into it, look, it gives you the options. I don't know how well you can see that. It says date, BFF or biz, and you can pick which one you want. So I'm obviously in the BFF section, and then it literally is like,
can you pick what kind of friend you want?
So you literally do like a date. I've
never seen Bumble. I mean, you're forgetting the last time I was single, Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, is that another one? Whatever, none of them were invented.
Yeah, Hinge wasn't for me. So it's basically like, there's a photo of this person, her name is Hannah, it says how old she is, it says what she does for a job, and then she's got like a little spiel. This person in particular loves the outdoors. It sounds like a dating thing, doesn't it? Meeting new people and always up for doing something new. I'm looking to make some new friends to meet up with or have a drink after work and generally have a good laugh with. It says that she's single, she's got no kids, she doesn't smoke, she drinks socially, she sometimes goes to the gym, and she's a Scorpio. And then there's a few bits like my ideal night out is at the pub with live music, mojitos. I quote too much from Schitt's Creek. Yoga versus hike, both. And then it says where she is and the fact that she's 8 miles away. And then you swipe right if you like the look of them, or you swipe left, and then you've got a match. Thing? Yeah, it's like Tinder, yeah. And then you've got a match depending on, but with Bumble you only have 24 hours to message them. Same for the dating.
Have you made any connections?
I've spoken back and forth with a couple of people. What I will say, is in the past, when I was a teacher, I did meet up with someone once from it.
Oh, okay. In a friendship sense.
Yeah, I have actually met up with her twice. I met her for drinks, like way back then, like I want to say 3 or 4 years ago. And then weirdly, she came up on, she was all right. But you know, when you just don't naturally have like a conversation. Yeah. And it is a bit awkward anyway, because you are asking questions a bit like that you don't know them. So it is a bit of an awkward dynamic anyway, because it is effectively going on a date, isn't it? It's like a really like situation. So I think you have to kind of like the person or have something in common. Otherwise, it is literally like a date. But she was fine. And then a couple of years later, she messaged me on something. I can't remember. I think she had me on Instagram. And she now lives in the village next to me. So we were like, oh, should we go for a drink? And so we did. We went for a drink in the pub that's just around the corner from where I now live. And it was just, it was the exact same type of situation where it just didn't feel natural. And I haven't spoken to her since, but she is still on there. I've seen her on there.
You just make sure you swipe left for that one.
Swipe left on her. But yeah, it's one of those things I don't think enough people talk about, the fact that it's really difficult especially if you haven't already got that like foundation set of friends. And I definitely don't feel like, a lot of the friends I have are friends I've had for years, but we're not anywhere near as close as we have been. And not only because of circumstances, it's all circumstances, I guess, not only because of where we're at in life, but because we've gone years without talking, like, and not being in each other's lives at all. Like my friend who has been married before, I didn't go to her wedding because we fell out of touch while I was at uni. Like we've gone through like actually not being friends for a really long time, like not fall out, but just not being friends. It's almost different anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get that 100%. I think the thing is as well though, if I was to sit here now and list all my friends and when I met them, and I'd say the other thing as well is that it can be hard to keep track of everyone.
Oh, 100%. And I'm shocking as well.
And that's something else I struggle with, in that my friends that I talk to regularly, you know, and it might be like a voice note, for example, but then I will then get a message back. And if I'm doing something and I don't read it or don't listen, or I do listen to it or I do read it, and then I'd put my phone down, I might, and I'm not sitting here saying I'm like super duper popular or anything, but life gets in the way. And the next thing I know, that message is like 6 or 7 down. It's not something I'm looking at. And then the next thing I know, it's like, oh shit, that's been 2 weeks now since I've replied. And then you feel so bad. And I swear my messages are a constant back and forth of, so sorry it took me so long to reply.
Yeah, no,
so sorry for the late reply.
I'm the same. And honestly, sometimes I listen to them and I just don't have the mental capacity to answer them, and I just put my phone down and knowingly do so. And then it's just, sometimes though, I literally have no recollection of reading it, but I know I did. And also sometimes, because it says I did, but also sometimes I mentally answer.
Yeah, I do that all the time.
And assume that they're going to get my like telepathic answer. Oh. Go on.
I did something really bad yesterday.
What did you do?
So I had a message from someone. I don't even know if I should say this on here in case they listen to it.
Go on.
I had a message. So I'd been messaging this girl who I'm friends with, and I was really fucked off because I thought, she's not replying to me. I sent her a really like nice message and I've not had a reply. And she's been putting stuff on Instagram. So I liked her post and then she shared a story.
So passive aggressive.
Slightly passive aggressive. And I was like, oh, like, is everything okay? Because like you've not replied to my message. What message? I was like, I've sent you this message, like, and I'd written all this stuff in it. I never got your message. I was like, you did, because I sent it. She's like, no, I didn't get it. Anyway, I went back to the message. I'd written it out and I hadn't sent it.
You bellend.
What a dick am I?
Do you know though, I've done that a few times where even with you, like I've never, and you've done it to me as well, where I'm like, fucking hell, Gemma's taking fucking days to reply. Like, what the hell is her problem? What is she up to? What is she doing that is more important than me? Because I can't think of one fucking thing.
Literally, there's nothing.
Neither of those people that live in that house with us. I come first.
You are life.
I am life. So I'm like, excuse me, what is happening? And then you go and look and you realise that you're the person that hasn't answered.
Literally. This happens too often.
I do this. I did it actually to my stepsister not long ago, and I actually got really annoyed with her. And then I realised that it was me.
I'm glad it's not just me then. Yeah, no, so we do that a lot.
Yeah. So it does make it really difficult. I've got one friend, I guess, that's close to me that I talk to regularly, who is the person that's having the breakdown about the house situation of staying in one place. And but I'll be honest, the reason we are still as consistently close is because she makes the effort. If it's been a week I don't think it ever goes longer than a week, to be honest, but we have fallen out before, don't get me wrong, we have gone years without talking before I've never fought with somebody so much and been so close with someone. We have like we go through years of not talking and then years of being really consistent. I nearly moved school because of this girl when I was at school, because she was sending me such nasty texts, and she'll fully admit now, she's like, I'm such a bitch, and I was like, you really were. I had a meeting at another school. But she makes the effort with me
to make up for being such a bully at school, probably.
There you go. And she knows that I don't mean anything by not messaging her, which it's just like so much easier.
I think they're the best kind of friends to have, though, aren't they? The ones that there's no pressure, and it can just be quite natural. Because I think that's the other thing, especially when we are all so busy. You don't want people like me being passive aggressive in the Insta DMs.
I think the other thing that's hard as well, though, is because and we were talking about this earlier actually, before we started recording, about how online makes it easier and harder. It means that actually I've got loads of friends. I've got you, I've got other people. Like, I spent all of yesterday talking to Sally online, like sending her voice notes, and that's great because it makes me feel less lonely during the day. And genuinely, you're my friend. I have met you in person, so it's a bit different, but generally speaking, like, we've met twice, you know what I mean? We don't meet. You're my friend online mainly. Sally is only my friend online. Anybody else that's like part of the thing we're doing for work, whatever it is, they're all friends online, right? And that's lovely, but it doesn't get me anywhere on a Saturday. You're sat on your own.
You want to be able to be like, let's go get a coffee, let's go out for lunch, let's do something, or like come over and we'll watch Charmed together. Which, FYI, if I didn't have Elliot, I would so do that.
Oh, please, that would be absolutely cracking. I'm on series 7 now, and I'm really upset about it. It's going to end soon. It's really, really sad. I'm going to have to start something else equally as good when it finishes. But I also think it makes it, not only is that like a problem, and also it's a problem, like, it's nice. So it's nice that we get to have that, but also it's a problem in that it doesn't help us on a weekend. I also think it's a barrier that it doesn't help us on a weekend, because I bet if we didn't have this and we didn't have voice notes, especially because texting just takes long, if we didn't have voice notes, we'd probably make more of an effort to actually see each other more often, being that we live not far away from each other.
Agreed.
So in a way, it's like an extra barrier, because it's like, I don't need to see Gemma because I've just spent fucking 2 hours talking to her.
Literally.
Nothing to say to her.
Save it for the podcast.
Yeah, we don't talk anymore. No, we do. We do.
Yeah, but how funny is it though? Because every time we get on these calls before we start recording, we'll be talking about stuff and we're like, for fuck's sake.
Do you know, and I didn't press record today. Last time I pressed record because we have so much gold before we even start. Yeah, we need to get better at that. But anyway, that is us to today.
Before we jump off, just quickly, if anyone is feeling the same as what we're saying, what advice would you have for them?
I think it's really hard, because I think if it's something that makes you unhappy, and it's something that has been making you unhappy for a consistent amount of time, then it's not going to suddenly stop making you unhappy. That makes sense? So even if it's something that makes you feel super uncomfortable or whatever, if there is something that you can do, like going on Bumble to make friends, or mum and baby group or whatever it is, depending on who you are and where you are and whatever, I think it's almost worth the uncomfortable, because I've kind of come to a conclusion that I'm gonna feel like a bit of a dick, and I have been feeling like a bit of a dick. I also can't be asked. I was like that when I was actually on Bumble and Tinder and stuff. Like, I put a message on my I can't fuck with another hi. How are you? What have you been up to this weekend? Nothing. That's why I'm here. It's so frustrating, but I'm like purposely making myself do it because I can't keep moaning about it.
No.
And the problem's not going to go away by itself, because I'm not going to magically meet a new great friend.
But you're putting yourself out there though, aren't you? That's the difference.
Yeah, the same as dating, isn't it? You can't expect to meet the love of your life if you don't ever go out or don't put yourself on dating sites.
Exactly that. Love that.
There you go. I'll check back in with you. I'll let you know.
Please do.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you for listening to the episode this week. We're over halfway done now, Gemma, for the series.
Wow, that's good. Not like that, but like good that we're getting through.
Fuck me, I'm glad.
I think we only have finish. No, good that we've managed to make it this far.
We only have 3 left, I think, for this series, and then we'll have a little bit of a break, but we will be back because we're loving it. But I think we will take a break for a little while.
Yeah, it'll be good. And if you've got anything you would like us to cover, please do keep the suggestions rolling in. Yeah,
please do, because these aren't going to be the only ones we ever do. Like, we will be back at this. We'll probably have a week off and be like, right, series 2.
Back into it.
Yeah, and we love doing it. So please do send them. You might, don't be disheartened if you send one in and we don't do it that week. We usually record a little bit in advance. So you'll probably get it 5 episodes later, but we will do it.
No, that's good. Well, thank you for listening.
Amazing. Thank you. And do all the usual stuff, because I now do promotion.
Oh, wait, hang on. I can say this. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. Like it.
One more thing.
And the bell thingy.
Yeah.
And you can also listen to this podcast on Spotify, Amazon and Apple. But if you do, please like and follow.
Yeah.
And
leave a review.
Give us a review, please. Yes.
We would love that.
Can you guess which of us is a YouTuber and which one is not?
I mean, in the loosest sense of the word.
Bell thingy.
But there you go. Yeah. Click the bell thingy and we'll be back. We'll be back for another episode next week. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.